Hey family, what up? It's your girl Jay. So I haven't been on in a couple of days because it's been hectic in these spiritual streets. Like when I tell you, oops, when I tell you my neighbors have been doing the most, karmic familiar unit, karmic toxic former friends, whatever. When I try to say that the past is trying to haunt my future and it's not gonna work, it's not gonna work. But people are putting my name and shut up spells, well, jars, I mean, so, I don't complete my task and stuff. And it's not even a situation of like, oh, I just don't want to. Like, I got to remember, oh, yeah, you're a hybrid and you got spiritual, work that needs to be completed and stuff. It was just, excuse me, what did they say? Confirmation burp. um, but it was, these last few days have been a little crazy, and then I believe in no work on Monday. I wish everybody didn't have to work on Monday. Like we could just have a 3-day weekend or whatever. But I will say yesterday was crazy. Like the mental magic that people, portrayed and stuff like that. Um, that that was a lot because I was like, these are not my thoughts, But I just want to come on here and express a couple of things. I'll probably do a few videos. I do have some notes here. Um, my first video is okay. So I'm gonna make a second video, but I'm gonna say this right now. I do have another channel. I'm not gonna say the name right now. That I would like for, of course, myself and others, and it can be anonymous. I won't, put your name unless you want me to. But I just feel like all of us who have been gang stalked, and even if we weren't gang stalked, just being mistreated from family, friends, lovers, co-workers, anybody that we interacted to that we poured more into their cup and they didn't, pour anything, not even a drop, a slither into ours. What I really wanted to do was, create I know the internet's not really a safe space, but I wanted to create, an outlet for myself and others alike for us to come together and share our experiences. Um, again, um, it will be anonymous unless you want your name out there, but who really wants to put their name out there like that when it's a traumatic experience, or even if it wasn't traumatic, just, we can share the good, the bad, and the ugly. But what my focus is on is, the mistreatment that we've gone through, but we overcame it. Um, I really feel like a lot of us don't get our voice out there. Our voice isn't heard. And, you know, I know myself, me coming onto this platform and speaking my truth has really helped me heal in other areas, because you can write it down, you can journal it, but when you speak it out, for me, when I speak outward, it's like a pressure is relieved off my shoulders, off my back, off my mind. And then speaking to, others alike, getting that feedback, because we all can learn from each other's experiences, but some of us have been through the same experiences, especially with, you know, the gang stalking, breaking out the matrix, being the whistleblower, a truth teller, and you get shunned out. And then it's like, okay, well, where's my tribe? Who can I speak to that's not going to look at me as I'm crazy? Because not all of us operate in our lower self. A lot of us, you know, are just going with the flow. We roll with the punches and we harbor all that inside, and we shouldn't have to harbor that. If there's at least one person that we can talk to, whether, you know, I hope you can confide in them, but if there's one person that we can talk to vent, like my brother and his wife say, do you want advice or do you want me to just listen? And sometimes it's kind of both. Sometimes I do want you to just listen, but then I may need that advice, because there's three sides to every story: his, hers, and the truth. And we all can look at a photo and get a different perspective, like any photo, but I'll just say like an abstract photo, you know? You can look at it and see a woman. I can look at it and see a penis. Like, so I'm gonna end up I've already started it. So it's not like anybody can block it, because again, disclaimer, oh, please comment, like, subscribe, and share, any of the videos with a friend, families, anybody that you think, could benefit from, the content that I share, that I'm going to share. And then, you know, you're a part of my family. Even if we don't know each other, clearly our spirit teams aligned for a reason, so there's a reason for you to click on, there's a reason for me to come up on your screen and stuff like that. But as much as a safe space that I can make it, and I'll probably go into other ventures, other avenues of like a more secured platform and stuff like that, so we can really hone in on it really being a safe space. I want it to get to the point where we could have 200 members, right? But we all know each other's name. We're all in a group chat. We're all, uh, on Zoom calls, hey so and so, hey, like literally a family, because sometimes, most of the time, our family in real life really isn't our family, so that's in the works. But this video is to speak about, the karmics in our life, whether I'm more specifically speaking of breaking out the matrix, because that's my reality. I wasn't aware of it until recently, if you see the other videos. But I just wanted to, bring awareness to, you know, corruption and how we can overcome it, and things of that nature, to bring awareness that, certain organizations, certain businesses and stuff like that, they're not for our greatest good. Although they're there, because we need good and bad. It can't just be all good. Unfortunately, we do need the devil as much as we need God, and stick with God. So I don't want anybody to get misconstrued and make it seem like I'm like, oh no, side with the devil. No, 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 no. Please don't side with the devil. Please don't lose your soul. Please don't. It's not worth it. It's really not. Go on YouTube and look at celebrities who sold their soul, whether they're dead, on drugs, in a mental institute, or they sold their soul and their sacrificing families. Like, there's no need, because the devil's always going to want more and more and more and more and more. And then you're a man bobbing for apples in, and to each his own. Whatever you do in your bedroom is your business. But if you're a straight man and then you sign your soul with the devil, especially like in Hollywood, and just sitting here just because you want that role, or you're a female doing some strange things for a piece of change, it's gonna end up catching up to you. I don't care how promiscuous you are, how much you're about it, that conscience is gonna kick in at some point. But the main focus, this video, is, be careful with, your family and friends and stuff like that. Again, I don't want to put anybody into fear. Those who get it. But, these schools, these organizations, these doctor offices, family members, friends who are in certain positions and stuff like that. Back then, like, I have this book right here. I got it from Five Below years ago. I don't know if they still have it. The Book of Practical Witchcraft. And no, I'm not a dark witch, a dark practitioner, anything. I am an earth angel. Hello, world. It's me. But I just wanted people to know about some information that I found interesting in this book. Because although I got it 5 years ago, I believe, I just opened it this year and actually was reading into it. Like, I'll buy some stuff and just have it sit. But there's a reason, don't start hoarding stuff. But if you're drawn to something and you can grab it, get it, because there's a reason. Your soul is telling you to get it, or, for whatever reason. But anyway, a brief history of witchcraft. And I'm not going to go through the whole thing. I'm going to speak on this section right here, which is the Celts, the Druids, and paganism. In one of my other videos, I was talking about the old ways versus Christianity and the Inquisition in witch hunts. But today I'm going to be talking about the Celts, the Druids, and paganism. Many people believe that modern witchcraft has Celtic roots. The deeply spiritual and pantheistic Celts, 700 BCE to 100 CE, honored the divine creator of all nature and worshiped the one creative life source. Celtic rites and rituals were supervised by the Druids. These spiritual leaders were regarded not just as priests, they were judges, teachers, astrologers, healers, bards, and ambassadors who passed from one warring tribe to another to settle disputes. Nature and the seasons governed the Celts' religious year, and their beliefs grew into what became known as paganism. Their rituals then blended with the ways of others in such practices as concocting lotions and potions, performing works of magic, and casting spells developed. And then I'm going to go down into the old ways versus Christianity. As the Roman Empire expanded and brought its own rituals and beliefs, the number of Druids dwindled. And with the birth of Christianity, old gods were banished and the new religion imposed. However, the old rituals, beliefs, and traditions continued to be handed down from generation to generation. Pagans practicing these traditions in defiance of the church risked persecution and death. And I was surprised, and not just that, but my own knowledge too of, research over the years and stuff. I was surprised to see that because when you look today, your teachers, your doctors, your nurses, notary public, people who were sworn under oath to protect and serve us are signing on with these secret societies, these organizations who, yeah, on the front of it, it may say, Catholic Charities, Salvation Army, Red Cross Blue Shield, or these shelters or these schools and stuff like that. But a lot of them behind the scenes are really practicing dark arts. And that 11:44 on the timer, and that currently is my situation. It's been my situation, but I just got awoken to it. That, family members, and you want this one? That's it, and then just this one for Sissy if she wants it. Sorry. Um, you know, I didn't realize. Now, there's good in everything, good and bad. Excuse me, confirmation, but there's good and bad in everything. But I will say we have a lot of evil running the world. Look who's in the White House, and look at what he's doing. $250 million to build a ballroom because he really thinks he's about to be the president or the dictator for the rest of our existence. No, 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 no. But regardless of the politics side, because I'm not into politics like that, but I just want you to be aware of who's in your life, and I'm not saying that nurse or the doctor or the therapist in your family is evil, but a lot of these teachers, a lot of these people who signed up to help us, there's really ulterior motives. Or we can sit there and say they can either enter, uh, like be grandfathered in. Hello? This one? A what? What, mamas? Pictures? Okay, yeah. Sorry. Um, you know, a lot of them really don't care for us adults. They don't care for our children. They just care for the check, whether, the numbers are right or not. But I'll say a lot of people want status, fame, fortune, So seeing all these people in high positions, um, you know, people of authoritative figures and them taking advantage of it, that's where I have the issue, you know? And I really just was unaware of how many people, once you can't unsee it, and then you may go into the mind frame, oh, everybody's the same. And no, because I went through that, like, oh, everybody's the same. All doctors evil, all nurses, all teachers, da-da. And no, that's not true. It just seems that the good ones get put to the bottom of the list, the bottom of the pile, because they do speak out, because they actually have an upright heart, because they have moral standards and ethics. And then the ones 1444 on the time, and then the ones who don't care and they're just there for a buck and to work the chain, work up the chain, you know, those are the ones that we got to watch out. But I only got 15 on the timer. I'll be back.